Hello, today is the Africa Day. My name is Ondřej Horký-Hlucháň and I'm here with Elizabeth Sidiropoulos, who is the director of the South African Institute of International Affairs and one of the best African experts on international relations. I would go straight to our question. Now, many say that we live in a more multipolar system. So, does it really make sense to say Africa is still on the periphery when the whole system is more spread, or?
I think Africa as a proportion of the global economy is still very, very small, and that's a reality. But I think within Africa we have different growth stories emerging, and I think Africa is also becoming much more engaged in both with key international partners, major players, as well as in multilateral organizations. So I think the landscape is shifting as a result of this increasing multipolarity and the fact that Africa can play and engage with different actors who have influence in this domain.
Sure, we have this kind of image of Africa rising, but I'm afraid that especially here in the Czech Republic we still have a very powerful discourse of Africa as a threat, and especially seen through the lens of migration. How do you, if there is an African or African's perspective of migration, how does our problems with migration, how do they look like from Africa?
Well, in the first instance, of course, many African states have to deal also with migration from the rest of the continent, either because of economic imperatives or political imperatives. My own country, South Africa, has many million migrants, either from the immediate region or from the Horn of Africa. And in many ways, although it is problematic in the social context, in many ways they add to the economic life of the country. I think one of the challenges that Europe faces, which migration is not actually a bad thing about, is the issue of demographics going forward. And more fundamentally, you know, as very multicultural societies, as how we integrate more effectively with people, whether they're coming from Africa or they're coming from the Middle East, and that's a question that we also in South Africa have to tackle.
Mm-hmm. Today you speak at the conference called Africa as a Partner, which is the title, but very often I see that after talking about Africa as a partner is then all about teaching the Europeans, teaching the Africans how to do things. Well, if it's a true partnership, what can Africa teach us, and especially perhaps South Africa as Central Europeans?
Well, I think it's important to have this mindset shift, and that can only happen gradually, but it can also happen through better dialogue and interaction, and identifying where we can learn from each other, because there is still a power asymmetry. I think just if we look very, very basically at issues like what has come out of Africa, in East Africa and Kenya around mobile, the important use of mobile money that has now given people an opportunity to do much more than they might have been able to. It's about financial inclusion, and I think that's been an important lesson that is innovative and that can be replicated in many parts of the world, including in the north. And then there is the political dimension, that we're all, African countries and European countries, particularly Central Europe, have gone through a period of political transformation and economic transformation. And the experiences in some respects have been very similar, and others very different. And the outcomes have also been mixed. And I think more effective and frank dialogue on both sides about what we understand and how we have experienced democracy, how we have experienced economic inclusion or exclusion, and what the lessons are from different parts of Southern Africa, Eastern Africa, Central Europe, I think is part of that we actually can all learn from each other. And the important lesson there is that we both sides need to listen, but not to assume that we have all the answers.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth, and I hope we will have a lot of fora to continue these conversations.
Great, thank you.